Alright guys, this is part 3 of the original pod buttons that I'm making, and first thing I did is take a little piece of proto board here and I used some trim black spray paint and I just sprayed it real quick, 2 coats. It's winter time right here in where I'm living, so I used one of these heat up guns, turned it on and just blew some warm air on it to let it dry faster. And the reason why I'm painting this board is because I'm going to leave a little gap in mine, 1 row gap, just like they had in the show. So because I'm doing that, I want it to look black. When you see, you might see a little bit through the buttons, and you just want it to be black. You don't want it to be the color of the proto board, and that's the only reason why I'm doing this. Okay, next thing to do is put these on a proto board and make sure that the middle lead that the hole you made for it, that both the top and the bottom lead can go through. Some of these I have to drill out a little bit more because I can't see the two. See this one? You can see the 2 leads for the leg for the LED. So I know that'll fit, but this one I can only see 1 leg, so that means I didn't drill it out enough in the back. So pop the cap back off and drill it out a little bit more. You want to make sure those leads fit in there. And the way I'm doing this is I'm going to have the positive legs at the top and the ground leg on all these leads at the bottom. And I'll tell you why I did that in a minute. Alright guys, let me try to explain the next step. Remember I said to put the leads in, make sure the positive leg is at the top and the ground is at the bottom. Okay, on all of the leads going into this. And so when you flip it over, and the way you make sure is check, I got a little 3-volt battery. All you got to do is take the little lead, because it doesn't tell you which one is positive and negative. Just go and check it like top. That's how you check to see which one's positive. Just make sure you use 3-volt, don't use a 12-volt or any 9-volt. You'll blow out the LED. And I am using the original green and red LEDs that came with it, because I figured that's probably what they used in the show. So the only ones you have to replace is the yellow. Alright, I got this set up so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so here you can see with the pencil, I'll show you. This is the hot positive leg, these 3 of the LEDs, the 3 LEDs, the red, green, yellow, and red. Okay, and the bottom ones are all the grounds right there. So what I did was, you're going to take a resistor here and you need to run the leg going across all 3 of the hot. You can do it on ground or the positive. I'm just doing it on the positive. So I ran the resistor going across the positive legs, and then I have the ground. I took the leg that was coming out of this middle one, because it's long, and I just bent it going here and then down, because this is a 3-leg switch, and the first leg is here. This is the input leg, and this is this one doesn't, this is on, and then when you push it, it turns off. So we're not even going to use this leg. And then this bottom one's what we're going to use, and this is going to be our what we hook up to whatever source this goes to. So I put a jumper wire from the red LED, the ground bottom one right here, and just jumped it to this one, the bottom 3rd leg of the switch. So we're going to have our ground coming in here, and then we're going to have this going to your MP3 or whatever you're going to use to function with this switch. Let's say it was smoke release, so this is your ground switch that will go to your smoke release device. And that's the easiest way I've seen to do this. And then you're going to have this soldered, the resistor soldered to the board here, and you're just going to plug the 12 volts to that. So what you got to do is get jumper cables, some jumper wires, and the video tech actually has some cables already in it, and you can use this for jumper wires or whatever you got laying around, or you can order it online. They have websites that you can buy jumper cables for, $5 or whatever from from eBay or whatever. But that's what I'm going to use here. I actually went to Home Depot to look for jumper wires, but they didn't really have any. They only had copper wire, so I'm just sticking with this, and that'll work fine. So that's it for what I'm doing, and I'll keep coming. I'm gonna keep on coming back with what to do next, because I'm not done. This is just the first switch that I'm doing. See, I'm doing the top switch first, and you want to make sure you make sure this board is not too big. I measured my pod and the width of it, and I think I was at 39 millimeters wide, so I have 39 millimeters wide to work with, and that's if I cut the bezel kind of off. So if you do them side by side like this one, you can get away. It'll fit my pod just perfectly. That's 31, 32, 33 millimeters. And if you put two switches right side by side, it's, you know, it's only 32. It's 32. It's perfect. It'll fit in anybody's pod most likely. But I'm going to be more accurate to the show, so I'm leaving one space between each button. So we'll see how that comes out. Alright guys, I remember what I did years ago when I made a set before. What I did was I took like an old LED. Well, I have a bunch of new ones that I don't really use. And you cut the legs off. And if you don't have any jumpers, you can actually use these legs as jumpers. Like I did here. I put one here. This is the bottom ground for the red lead to the next button. And I just bent that leg and went here. And then I'll bend here, and then I'll solder this to that same leg. Now this leg going down here is not going to interfere with anything, so you don't have to have a cable, what do you call these, you don't have to have a jumper from there to there with insulation. So this is perfectly fine to use here, and I think I'm just going to use that because that actually looks a little cleaner than using the jumpers, in my opinion. And there it is, finished with that one jumper going from the red negative leg, and it's going down to the bottom pole, and that's the one that's going to be momentarily triggered on with the negative power going through it when the button is pressed. And you can see it's a little nicer than the cable, in my opinion. But make sure when you're putting that yellow lead in that you have it, you know, coming out just as far as the other two LEDs, because there's no holder in it for that LED. So you got to make sure it doesn't go too far in and doesn't stick too far out. What I did was, when I had it where I wanted it, I bent that leg, that way it would stay in that position. Alright, got a better camera here so I can show you guys again. Okay, these top ones, these are the positive to the LEDs. They're going into a resistor. I have the grounds all at the bottom, so you got these two grounds together going here, and the reason they're going here is because this is the input. This is where the ground's going to go in from the car. So this is going to be ground all the time. And when this is ground all the time, these two will be grounded all the time. And so when you have power here, these two will light up green and yellow. This one won't, because this ground is tied into the switch, the momentary switch. So this red lead will only go on when this button is pushed. And that's how it hooks up. And it's real easy. All you got to do is do this to all of them, and then you're going to run your resistor, all the resistors together, so you can just have one wire coming out of all of them for the hot, and same with the ground, one wire going into all of these for the ground. So I'm going to have to actually hook this one to this one, so I actually could just run a leg here to here and so on and keep going. That way when I plug in my ground, they're all connected. Okay, for now, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna solder all the legs that I'm not gonna use. The ones up here the first one, the third leg here. So it's 3 legs. The top one on the left side, I'm gonna solder to the board, so these things don't come loose. Should have did that before, but I'm gonna do that now. See that these are soldered. I'm not going to use these ones. The top pull, this one's going to be on all the time. It's only off when you press the button, so I really have no use for those ones. So I just solder those up now, and now all 5 of them are nice and stacked on the board. I use a really nice thick board too. Don't use too cheap of a board. Use a nice thick one, good quality board. Spend a good 20 bucks instead of $5 on a cheap one. Alright, gonna check, make sure I got the positive on the right side. So the positive's up top. You don't want to put these in the wrong way and then wire it all up and then them not work in the end. Go through all that work and it not work. That sucks. Top. And believe me, I've done that before many times. Okay. And you'll know when it's a new LED, the longer pull will always be your positive. The shorter one will be the negative. And actually, I'm seeing a problem on this one. I did not drill out the hole big enough, so what I'm going to do is take my Dremel and go and do that real quick. Thought I had them all perfect, but guess not. Not a big deal. Dremel with a little bit on it, sanding bit. Tell you, videotaping with the camera on it's a pain in the butt working with the camera in your face, but I really want you guys to whoever wants to build these, I really want you guys to know how to do it and see that it's not impossible to do. It just takes some know-how and fiddling around. Alright, so that looks better now. See, but you see how I pushed that in. If I was to solder it like that, then you'd have one lead that would be pushed in. It wouldn't look right. So you got to make sure you have that sticking out about the same as the other 2 leads. And when you get it where you want it, what I do, I'll show you right now. Okay, that's about even with the other leads. What I do is turn it over, and I take the bottom ground and I bend it over just like that, because that's going to solder to the next leg anyway. And make sure you have it nice and flush again, which I do. I'm going to go ahead and solder that one point. Take some little needle noses and take this thing and bend it to where I want it to go, just like that. See how neat that is? And there, it's gonna go to from the middle ground to the next ground leg on the next lead, which is the green lead, and then go back down to your input. And then I'll solder those up. Okay, make sure you keep your tip clean every so often. Go and clean it with a sponge. So that's that. It's looking pretty clean. It doesn't look so messy. And you gotta get your resistor and finish those off for the leads so they don't burn out. And what I was planning to do here is to run this leg all the way under this one like that, and then run this one close to it so that I can solder the points together right here onto the proto board. That way they're connected. I like to do is bend this leg here like that, and then continue to bend it to kind of wrap it around that one leg, that one negative leg of the resistor, just like that. Make it into a hook. It just has better contact like that. Believe me, this is fiddly work. It really, really is, but it's kind of fun in the end to see that you can tell people, you did that. Second resistor is done, and like I said, you're gonna run this leg. Don't know if you can see it too well, but run the leg under that one and try to get this thing to bend up a little bit. That way you can get the soldering from this pole to the next pole together, and then I'll show you guys real quick what I'm talking about. Lift that one up out of my way. So I soldered just one little leg here, right there, and then so the next resistor will kind of solder into that too, right here. So you want them to be connected, touching, so that way you could just have one wire going there and it turns them all on at once, or else you're gonna have to run wire off each button and then connect them all together. And I don't feel like doing that, so that's why I'm doing it like this. Like that. There you go, there's a better view right there. So you see how this resistor is going here, and then it's tapped into the other one without touching this side to it. You don't want this leg hitting that part. And I'll put another one here just in case, keep this leg from moving. Right. Alright, got these first 5 done. And I'll work on the next 5 on this next row. I left one space for accuracy You can do it side by side if you want to, if you have a pod that it's gonna barely fit in between the bezel. But I'm gonna put mine the way it was in the show with the little space, one row of space. And here's the back side, right there. You can see all the hots of the leads at top. So the hot legs of the leads down to the resistors, and they're all tying together. And the negatives are connected here, and the negatives connecting from this bottom leg of the red lead, and it goes to here where it will trigger when pushed. And that's done to all of them. And you can see at the bottom you end up with your last leg. And what you can do is you can solder on a wire here, a jumper to go to the other side, but I won't do that until this part's done. Alright, so I got it all soldered together. Not completely done, but you can see how it looks on the front side. Still got to cut the rotor board in half. The other half will be for the other side. Wanted to show you guys here. So whatever I did here, I just duplicated on this side as well. And what else did I do? I took a jumper here from the hot side, the resistors, and I ran it to the other side of the resistors so they're connected. And so all I have to do is run my hot here, or 12 volts, and that will power up both sides because it's jumped across. And now the grounds, you could take and solder a wire to each ground input from each leg, but it's better to put a jumper. That way you don't have so many wires hanging out, unless you don't mind. So I'm going to jump a wire from here to here to here to here to here, and then all the way across down to here. That way I just have one input of ground, and they'll all be hooked up to that ground, and then I'll just have wires to my functions of whatever I'm going to run this to here on this pull. So it's quite a bit of work. This is not for everybody. It does take some soldering skills. So, but it is a fun little thing to do. Can't beat the fact that they're original buttons and not reprinted or copied or molded. You can see they all work. I had one button that actually was not working. You couldn't hear it clicking, and so I had to take it off and resolder that one right there. Kind of a pain in the butt. That took me a good, I don't know, half hour just to do that. The switch inside broke. But yeah, one side done almost, and one more to do. But that's it for this one, guys. Probably gonna finish this off another day. It's 4 in the morning. Worked on it all night.